Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Despite the postponement, we continue our webinar. Today we're going to discuss lean production and improvements on chemical industry enterprises. We would like to raise this issue because we've been working technological lines and we invite experts with the best world practices, and we invited companies which implement the principles of lean production. They will be making their presentations in the first block, and the companies which offer solutions and help increase efficiency of work. They will be presented in the second block. And the Foundation of Development of Industry has offers for offering loans that increase efficiency and productivity of such enterprises. And right now I will introduce my colleagues who participate in this session. Farhat Samedov, CEO of Titan Group, Georgy Shemelin, the head of Operational Management System Project Office from the Gazpromneft Lubricants branch in Tomsk, Alexander Smelov, head of Operational Improvement Group in Apatit Fosagra Group, Ildar Sagadeev, Deputy Director General of Vostok Neftezavod Montage Company, Leonid Tikhomirov, the head of ITPS, Alexander Ivashkin, Senior Manager, Risk Services Group, Deloitte CIS, Natalia Yermakova, Managing Director, Head of Industrial Customer Relations in Chemical Industry and Sberbank branch. I will start with the first block, with the manufacturers, with industrial workers. Mr. Samedov, tell us, please, how do you motivate your workers to implement lean technology principles? Can you give us figures how much the efficiency, the productivity increased after implementation of those principles, and how ready you were for the pandemic, which new trends you've implemented or you're planning to implement? So here are the questions. Thank you for this opportunity to speak here. How much time do I have? You have 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Okay. Lean production is not my first experience. I've been implementing it on other plants as well. All these projects have been successful. They are great projects all over the world, and we reproduce them, and they are still operating, although there has been several decades since the time it was originated, but the ideology is alive. What peculiarities we have in Russia? It's not easy to adapt it to our mentality. It's basically mentality of the Japanese and the Americans, and it has been adapted to European mentality, but in our context, it has always been very difficult to implement, but as soon as people believe in this technology, everything becomes great. There are lots of investment ideas, and there are mechanisms, different investment committees which implement these ideas. So it looks like you go along a road and pick up only large boulders, but when you have small gravel, the leading managers lose interest to such projects, but when you have a lot of gravel, you can have effect which can be compared with a huge boulder. So we should create such a climate that small ideas should not get lost, and you have to consolidate the whole team. And only the Director General can consolidate the whole team, unless the General Director is very interested in this idea, in this technology, it will not work. Yes, I would agree with you. I have a lot of experience of communicating with large enterprises, and when you raise this issue, they say, well, we do not have time to waste on that. First, we will deal with our problems, and then we may want to come back to your technology. And it's difficult to explain it to them that it actually helps them to work out their problems. We had a lot of meetings, and I tried to explain to everyone what is going to happen. And when you explain it to people, first, they're very cautious about that, but to motivate them, I said, only for giving any idea about investment, only for sharing this idea, you will receive 500 rubles. And then you explain the metrics, how this investment idea goes through certain filters, and then how it goes to implementation. The effect is quite large. On the previous enterprise where I implemented it, it was about 1 billion rubles per year. It's quite a lot. And what was the turnover? It was about 30 billion per year, so it's like 3%. And it was not on paper, that was a real effect, that was the real consequences. That was a unique experience for them, and the most surprising thing, that capex were close to zero. They did not require any capital investment, so the value of this project, it was much more valuable for me rather than other large-scale projects. There are lots of nuances over here, but I should say that we should implement it in Russia. And apart from general rules typical for everyone, we should use any specific things. We should adapt to a specific enterprise. It should be tailor-made, and it is kind of an art. And this investment project, when you start it and you finish it within 3 years, you forget about this project and you just run the enterprise. But our projects are long-term. They keep on living for decades. Farhad, I'm sorry. It can be a bit personal, but the principles you are using on your enterprise, do you bring these principles back to your own home, or you separate home and, well, of course, it goes into your subconscious, and I can tell you for sure that when I see something, immediately I think about improving it. So it went into my subconscious, not even conscious level. I'm sorry, again, I will try to draw your attention. How ready was your enterprise to COVID pandemic? Which new safety security measures you have implemented or you are planning to implement? We started discussing it seriously by the end of March, with the lockdown and everything. We had a discussion with the shareholders, with the workers, and I said, that I think we will be completely swallowed by the first wave in April. Then we'll have capital refurbishment in May, and maybe in June we will start getting better, and later on it will be much better. Maybe our lifestyle has changed for many years ahead, but we do not understand it yet. There will be new approaches, there will be the social distancing, there will be different standards in terms of sanitation and hygiene. I think it has dramatically changed our life, but we reacted very fast. We were at the forefront. We understood what to do with the technological process. So we implemented the new standards very fast, and we started producing antiseptics. So again, we are at the forefront of this fight. That's right. I am an eyewitness of that. Thank you very much, Farhad. And go over to the next speaker.
Mr. Shemelin, how do you work on which incentives do you create for your employees in order to motivate them to adhere to lean production principles? And to which extent your company was ready to the pandemic, and which new principles in security and safety did you introduce? We started introducing the lean production principles in our company in 2017. We started by setting targets, and we compared ourselves with each market based on the Solomon technology. Where it was not possible, we compared ourselves with ourselves, and we singled out the best 5-day periods, and this created the best, this helped us define the best goals, and our goal was to increase the profits, the revenues by 15% each year, and we fully realized, we were fully aware that not all of our actions will be fully efficient, and we thought about 5 measures that would cover the achievable level. The first target was 464 million that we could achieve within 3 years using lean production tools and improving the process. We defined the purpose, we informed everyone of that purpose, and we focused the attention of all employees on these purposes. We built a tree of objectives. We cascaded for everyone, and our director was involved in that so deeply, and we met with the director. I told you where we were positioning ourselves in the market, and the director spoke with everyone. He told us about the general goals that we needed to achieve, and then our work was only to support these tools, to support this with tools. So you mentioned that the greatest tool was the contacts of the director with the employees. We did kick-off meetings, each of which lasted several hours. There were 14 of them all in all. The director asked people what would help them work more efficiently, what challenges they're facing, which challenges we could overcome now. That was we were following methodology of change, and that was the first step in that methodology, understanding the need for change. Then we started using the lean production tools, and within the first year we expected an inflow of ideas, but what we received was an avalanche of ideas. It was about 1,000 ideas, and we could gain 32 million through these ideas as such. As was mentioned by the previous speaker, it was the small ideas bring great profits. There was a competition between production teams, and this competition brought us 38 million. The process improvement 8 million, 5S tool 10 million, and that was the figures that we obtained within a year, and the next year this figure grew to 705 million. We understood that we could achieve a much higher level. At the end of this year we will be speaking again, and even with the background that we have now, we understand that the goals are achievable. My understanding is that this year you're planning to save more than 700 million. 700 million was for 3 years. Last year, the lean production tools brought us 132 million, and this year we are planning to gain 141 million. If it's not a secret, how much is it how much do you produce in rubles? We can only speak about gross revenue. This will cover about 10% of the overall budget. We are not measuring the byproduct. Is it right that you have 800 employees? Yes, and more than 1,000 ideas. So each employee gave us 1 or even 2 ideas. And the question about COVID-19, about the pandemic. Were you ready? What did you do? Speaking on COVID-19, because we have a packaging line, we started packaging an antiseptic liquid, but it was in another platform, in another part of the company. We were preparing a cleaning liquid. Was it only for your own internal use or for the external market as well? We produced antiseptic liquids for the external market, and the disinfectants were made for for all of our facilities in Omsk. The oil refinery, the service for all chemical facilities within Omsk, but did you stop producing antiseptic liquid? We still do that. We still package it. Besides, all of our employees started working remotely. Where we need limited contacts, we installed monitors and video cams in all operating rooms. We have direct contact with operators from and anyone can get in touch. Unfortunately, Sibur is not here, even though they planned. I know that they introduced a shift method. They brought together people who did not leave the factory until the shift was over. Then the next shift came in. Did you try to use this solution? We prepared several response plans, and one of the plans was to switch to several day shifts, to bring all employees to a special site, and it was a hotel, and we had a hotel in the country for all employees needed for ensuring that the facilities remain operable. We prepared the food and the cleaning equipment and the detergents, but happily we did not need that. Thank you very much, Mr. Shemelin. I will now switch to our next speaker, Alexander Smelov. I have visited your companies more than once, and I was greatly impressed by how you organize your work. How do you motivate your employees to adhere to corporate requirements on lean production? Will you be able to name the changes in figures? How greatly did you increase the productivity in terms of end product? And was your company ready to the pandemic? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I will start by introducing our company. We work for both Russian and international market, and the company includes both mining and beneficiation factories in several regions across the country. I will mention Cherpovets in the Vologda region that produced 7 million tons of mineral fertilizers in 1 year, and the growth of production is 5 to 50% in a year. And at the same time, the number of personnel remains practically unchanged. We first started using lean production principles in 2007. We started by using systemic analysis methods. There are quite a few parameters that need to be tracked, and it's not enough to just follow the process, to just control that the process is followed. We started introducing a mass system, and before that, most information was processed manually on paper, and the management efficiency was quite low, and there was always a risk of human error. The system accumulates more than 50,000 parameters, 58,000 to be more exact. We described algorithms for idle time and starting of more than 100 sites or pieces of equipment in different areas of production. We know what is idle and what is working at every specific moment in time. We can perform detailed analysis of the reason for a shutdown, and we can take decisions on buying specific pieces of equipment based on this analysis. We have automated workplaces. We have automated the workplaces of the dispatcher, where all aggregated information comes in. From the whole of the factory, we calculate the failures in regimes, and before you and I will interfere, but I will interrupt you and say that we'll also have another speaker from a company that uses digitalization automation methods as the next stage in developing lean production, and the scale of the work that was done in Apatite company is really impressive. But can you answer how well did you responded to the pandemic? What did you do? Or was it a normal situation for you? Did you decide, okay, it's pandemic, but we are safe anyway? Well, first of all office workers, all white collars, all white collar professionals were started working remotely, and we took action to avoid large gatherings of people in every area, and we started transporting employees to the sites for free and safer. We tried to keep distance between employees and bosses, and we use disinfectants and we use masks. We disinfected the areas, the spaces where the personnel worked. We paid people a compensation if they use their own cars. This is a very efficient method, motivating people to use their own cars. All white collars are still working remotely, and we do not know when they will start working on site. I'm sure that this will not affect the production of end product. When we were analyzing the performance, we saw improvement by 7%. Thank you very much, Mr. Smelov.
Thank you very much, Alexander. And I would like to ask Ildar, as contractors of building many chemical plants and oil processing plants, how do you deal with the issues of motivating your workers to use principles of lean production? And how prepared was your enterprise to the pandemic? And what did you do in this respect? Good afternoon to everyone, and I'm happy to see you all. I agree with the words of Mr. Samedov that productivity and the results and the implementation of lean technology, everything depends on the management. If the head of the company wants it, everything will be implemented. We worked out a strategy of implementing this technology in our company, and it has been operating for 7 years. And we are a large contractor. We are also preparing sites, and we are producing the equipment to be installed on those sites. We have several workshops with metal constructions working and with the pipes being produced. So we started our changes with those sites. Bought a lot of equipment with digital controls to minimize the human factor. Yes, that's right. We wanted to minimize the human factor, which may lead to deficiency in production. And we decreased the labor, we decreased the number of personnel who were dealing with the preparation of the manufactured product, and we increased productivity both in terms of percentages and in the volumes of the output we had. I'm sorry, Ildar. You increased the productivity by implementing modern equipment, or you had some organizational issues, I don't know, for example, working out the routes,
Я просто чуть-чуть не
working
закончил,
out
поэтому
the
я вот
time
тоже.
schedules.
Ну, если в целом, то
Well,
мы
I would
провели
like to
анализ, и
speak
с
about that as
2019
well.
года, с конца
From
2019 года мы с
2019,
Центра
we've
компетентности,
analyzed it
получается,
with our
в
Center of
сфере производительного труда
Competencies,
организовали программу по производительности и бережливому производству.
and we organized this
Что нам это
program
дало?
on
Мы
lean
провели, скажем
production
так,
and
общий анализ именно технологического процесса и выявили
efficiency
ряд,
analysis,
скажем так,
and
узких
we
мест, где в
clarified
случае,
several bottlenecks
замены или повороты технологического процесса
where you change the
получилось
technological
увеличение производительности
process
труда.
and you receive the increase of output in terms of producing metal constructions.
Свои бригады рабочих места, где она собирает
They
металлоконструкции.
have their
Когда мы
own
обратились,
working places
посмотрели,
where
оценили,
they
оказалось, что мы
collect and
переводим
gather
заготовки к
and
рабочим местам,
assemble
а
those
быстрее
metal
будет
products.
разложить эти заготовки,
And
чтобы
we
рабочие
analyzed it
со своими
and
инструментами подходили
understood
к этим
that
рабочим
it would
местам.
be easier to
И
transport the
излишнее
workers
перемещение
with their tools
конструкции где-то в
rather
среднем
than to
где-то,
transport those
начиная с начала
steel
программы,
and
это где-то
metal elements.
порядка 16% увеличения
And we increased our
именно в части
productivity by
изготовления
about
металлоконструкций.
16%.
Поэтому продолжаем работать над этим.
So we keep on working at that.
Всегда можно и нужно.
There is always a room
А что
for
касается
perfection.
насчет коронавируса, ну,
And
я
as
думаю,
for
мы все не были готовы
coronavirus,
к этому.
I don't think
Но
anyone
жизнь и
was
наш
prepared
менталитет
for that. But
не то, что заставил, подтолкнул нас к тому,
life
чтобы настроить
made
себя, настроить
us
свой коллектив. Тоже были приняты
be
меры по
prepared,
поводу, скажем
and
так,
we
доставки
prepared
людей,
our
но, к
workers.
сожалению,
We
там
started
случились
transporting
некоторые
our
моменты,
workers.
что
Well,
человек
unfortunately,
может
we
уйти на
had
самоизоляцию, то есть
some
состав бригады
difficulties over
уменьшается,
there
то
when a
есть
person
количество
gets into
пускаемых работников, соответственно,
isolation
уменьшается.
and
В части
the
касаемо
team
инженерно-технических
is
работников,
broken
то
down.
проблем
And
особых
as
не
for
было именно
engineers,
работы на
we did
удаленке.
not experience
То
any
есть все
problems
это
with working
восприняли нормально,
online.
все это восприняли
Everybody
достойно, скажем
was
так.
okay about
Единственное, вот
that.
то, что и вся экономика
But
наша
of
Российской
course,
Федерации
the whole
немного так
economy of the Russian
приостановилась,
Federation
ну и,
received
соответственно, мы,
a blow.
скажем так, немножко пострадали.
And of
В
course,
части
it
вот именно
was
человеческих
a blow
ресурсов,
to us as
то есть
well.
оборудование-то она на пелет нарежет, а человек там должен ее собрать и сварить.
Well, especially
И,
human resources were vulnerable. And
да,
you
да,
used
то
to
есть
have
многие
a
заказчики отложили
guaranteed
свои, скажем так, и инвестпроекты
portfolio
отложили,
of
и, скажем так,
orders,
новые
and
строительства,
right
что-то
now
было. То есть
many of
сдвигали,
our
сдвигали,
clients
сдвигали, чтобы
postponed
понимать
their
самим,
work
когда все это
or
начнется. То
put
есть мы
it
немножко вот
off.
так вот
So
заделаны.
right now, yes, we are working a bit slower. Yes, I would agree that all of us are now in a new reality, and coronavirus may have destroyed some services, and some enterprises may not even live through that. But I do not think it will be all that terrible for our industry, and we will be able to recover. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Ildar. And I would like to go over to the block of developers of solutions. And I would like Natalia Yermakova to tell us about Sberbank, how Sberbank uses the lean technology, lean ideology to improve the efficiency of industrial enterprises. Which solutions do you offer? Good afternoon. I'm happy to see you here, and I would like to share our experience of dealing with lean production, and I would even call it business culture. We went through it in 2008, 2009. We started this transformation, and it was quite unexpected for us. And this concept of transformation, we understood it as changing the culture. So please do not get focused entirely on the production itself. But lean technology is a method only, and you cannot just say go over to lean production. I always speak of lean technology give you such an example typical of a woman is like clean up your flat when your husband throws his socks around everywhere and you are going around the flat trying to optimize all the processes, and nobody should suffer and nobody should lose the things you put aside somewhere. So lean technology should be very comfortable and convenient. Everybody should know where his socks are, and children should understand where the toys are. Okay, so how does Sberbank put its socks around? Right now I am going over to this. We started thinking like that. All of us started thinking like that, and there were initiatives in Sberbank. We went our way and went further. We understand that lean production is about diagnostics, is about analyzing our processes. Now we understand that the quality control and cutting costs, of course, they are very important parameters, but there are examples on the market. Everybody knows the Toyota company. They invented the lean production. I would like to ask Igor, what's the dream car for everyone? Now Tesla. Absolutely. So Tesla is the dream car for everyone. It satisfies your demand, but Tesla does not control quality as Toyota does. They have many more defects, and the release is very fast. Why? That's marketing. Yes, that's right, marketing, following the demand, following the client. So understanding where the market goes is very important, and that's what we would like to emphasize. Lean production is knowing your processes, optimizing your processes, but to make a breakthrough, to be successful and efficient in the future, to be required, to be in demand, we should go over to digitalization and flexible management. You should implement newer automated instruments which would allow you to be much more flexible and much faster and to adapt to the changes in the market. There was a brilliant example with the pandemic. I was expecting for somebody to say that pandemic is a huge challenge for lean production. The principle just in time. Our suppliers abroad cannot supply us, and the chemical production of small size was suffering because we've been importing large batches of chemicals, and it demonstrated that lean technology should be adapted to Russia. We should be flexible, we should use different platforms, we should have more access to alternatives, and Sberbank works in this direction and works in R&D direction, develops new platforms for industrial lines. We find in our ecosystem companies which would be helpful to you, which would help you to adjust your business and increase its efficiency. We have, for example, strategy partners, our consultant, which would be capable of analyzing your processes and clean them up. And they understand that not only large companies need these consulting services, medium-sized and small-sized business also needs consultations even at the very initial stage of their work. They should adjust their processes. There is a company in our group, which Sberbank ASTL, which helps you with the buying. And there is a company which helps you with logistics. So that's our task. We help businesses to optimize their process and to focus on the key priorities. And everything else can be outsourced. You can look around attentively and invite somebody else, some helpers into your business processes, and they will be able to invest into your R&D more money, and you can economize on that as well. So Sberbank sees it as its mission. We should develop our ecosystem not only for ourselves, but also for the economy of Russia, for the enterprises of Russia.
And I have a question. The companies within the structure of Sberbank, they offer services. Are they accessible at all to medium and small businesses, or are we only speaking about large-scale companies? The situation is as follows. The problem of cost is solved through exclusivity. If you buy a package solution, then it's cheaper. If you buy an individual solution, then it's more expensive. But I'm sure that every type of business can find the best solution for themselves. There are examples where companies partner with Sberbank Logistics. We have cases of both large and medium and small companies that optimize their costs to transport products. The same is true for procurement, and that's it. And can you tell us which platform we need to use in Sberbank in order to see these packages? You can go to our website, and we have our ecosystem products. Today we are developing a more individual approach that we will be launching that we have launched in June. We will be setting up pages for industries. For example, your industry is chemistry, is chemical engineering, and we will publish links there which are best for clients within chemical industry. This helps you use the experience of other companies, and even if you are new, if you have never cooperated with Sberbank, you will then be able to find your way among the products. And I think if you are somehow working with all large companies, and maybe it makes sense for medium and smaller businesses to enter and to go and look for solutions that you offer, because it's no secret that principles of lean production are better used, are most often used in large companies where cutting costs on one idle day brings million rubles. If the company is small, idle time of 1 or 2 days gives you 12,000 rubles, which is not so important. And I will both agree and disagree, and it will depend on the culture. If you are a billionaire, you still don't want to spend a ruble, and if you are poor, then you may starve without a ruble. And the principle of lean production is that everything is easily seen in smaller businesses. It's easier to control. Speaking of relations between employees, 10 or 10,000, 10 employees will always meet each other, so the relations between them are more important. And lean production is about building a philosophy, a culture, and and about constant control. It may not be so important so relevant for smaller businesses, but what's important for them is access to clients. It's important for them to be visible, to be recognizable. They fight for their client every day. Thank you very much. You have used very very easy to understand words to explain what we are facing today. I have two questions to you, Mr. Tikhomirov. My two questions are about lean production, then working. This is the first stage, and then the next steps are digitalization and automation. And are there any cases when a company goes further than that, goes beyond that? And what about the second question, or will you ask later? And what new trends and programs are you ready to offer in relation with the pandemic of COVID-19? Thank you for inviting me to take part in this conversation. And in answering your questions, I'd like to say that a lot has been said, and many clients have mentioned the importance of human factor. This is, of course, of an utmost importance. And for myself, I formulated that it's important for people to be ready and to be willing to uptake, and we have even developed a methodology for readiness of a company for optimization. There has to be human factor and technical factors such as readiness in terms of infrastructure and data availability, be it digital or data or records, and the technological understanding of people, what they want technologically, what you can do for them, what healthy or not very healthy expectations they have. And indeed, the stages that you have mentioned are all very important. And the situation can be that people will not be ready. They will order your product, then they will start implementing it. And then the most important and the most difficult step is where you have to take over from the contractor. The customers will often say, okay, you just continue, you just do what we ask you, and we will just keep on sitting there. Give me automation, have me seat me in this Tesla, and invite robots to help me, and then it makes no sense. That's why people are important, technology is very important, and leadership is very important, and this combination helps move forward and gives effect. And I have heard very good examples that everything depends on the component. Sometimes you can gain 5, 10, or 15%. Colleagues also mentioned the Solomon Index, where you can add 5% in one area and 10% in another area, and then it sums up to 15%. I say that you work in small steps to get a big result. Yes, it's an exhaustive answer, and my next question was about the situation with the pandemic. What trends and programs are you ready to offer? Digital solutions, maybe they're not optimum. No, digital solutions are good for everywhere. We have a trend of digitalization, and even more than that, intellectualization. We started with digitalization in the late 20th century, and these days things are just getting more intellectual. I will name 3 blocks which have a high degree of availability. First is working with ERP systems such as SAP, 1S, and so on. And they include many components. Reporting is always difficult. Working with equipment, regulations, warehousing, and these seem to be quite a business as usual things, but they're always important. Next is production management. We have a very good solution. I even liked it myself. We break down the production process into the key stages, which can be up to 10. And then we analyze, we collect all the main components and all the materials, and we see flows of materials, efficiency, and equipment availability, the efficiency of use, the utilization index for equipment. It works really well if you bring it up, if you bring it to the manager's dashboard. This is the second mess, and the third component is an innovative solution of telemed segments. We built biotelemetry wristband that anyone can put on, and we invite healthcare professionals to calculate risks for a person's health. Does a person need to come to a physician's room for that, or do they wear it all the time? They wear it 70 to 75% of the time during the day. Look here. This is a watch, and this is a new model, and this is the previous model. And here, are you testing your own models yourself? Yes, I wear them, I compare them. We find out which people have risks of cardiovascular diseases, and even COVID. If this is an acute disease, we can calculate 2 days before the abrupt rise in temperature, in the body temperature. Is it a mass product, or are you only testing it? We have tested it well enough to start piloting, the piloting stage, but I can't say that it's mass. We are now starting to launch it. If you're interested, we will be ready to work. It's interesting because lean production is not only about automation and digitalization, but also about the need to track, to monitor both the health of the people and also their routes. The routes they follow, that these sensors can also be integrated in the wristbands, and it can be then fed into computers to those who are monitoring them, the people. Thank you very much, Mr. Tikhomirov. And I have, and our next speaker is the Deloitte company. Alexander, how do you explain to your potential, Alexander Ivashkin, how do you explain to your potential clients the need for introducing lean production programs that you offer? And are the programs for lean production and the decrease of non-production costs different for chemical and non-chemical companies? companies, because very often the volumes of production are incomparable in terms of money. And which trends, which programs are you ready to offer in connection with the COVID-19 pandemic? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this wonderful discussion and to share my experience. I work for Deloitte company. We consult companies, and our services relate to lean production as well as other matters. I will try to be brief. And the question is, how do you persuade clients that they need to introduce lean production? I think this is just the ABC. When you every time we come as newbies, we come for the first, we come as beginners. Every time we start with figures, all people who are in business understand well what money is, or at least what time is. And if we have information on a company, we try to use it as fully as possible. If we know about the inventory, about the transportation cycle, and about possible delay in the work, but this is the material we bring. If we do not have this information, then we add benchmarking statistics and with breakdown by sectors, what we have done and what effect we have seen. And the speakers have mentioned that effects are measured in tens of percent and in hundreds of millions of rubles. And a consultant's life hack is the easiest way to show and to persuade is to just register and come and wait and show how long you could have how much less time you could have spent and you can start from the company gate, how long you wait for registration, for ordering a pass, and for coming to the meeting. The best ways to persuade is using money and time. Nothing else has been invented. The more theory we say, the less useful we are. The difference with optimization, with cost optimization, is there is such a difference. We have a huge experience in that, starting with the 1990s, because they started focusing on that in Russia earlier. As soon as a crisis comes, people start cutting costs. But the ideology of lean production is different. The project of cost optimization starts with the analysis of expenses, and lean production starts with the analysis of production and possible losses. There can be different tools that have to be individual for each company. There is no silver bullet. We have to choose tools that will be efficient, and no matter what you start with, be it mapping or time mapping, or where you will still be trying to achieve the result, and you will try to minimize the time loss, and the found time should not automatically translate into cutting jobs. And lean production, first of all, allows you to obtain free resources, be it human resources or other assets, in order to start working on priority objectives. It's not for cutting that we find these extra capacities, but it's for operating better. The lean production, this is what lean production is about, rather than by how fast you can show the result of minus X rubles or dollars. the lean production is not only about cost optimization. When it's great to think about lean production, when you are optimizing costs, and when it's great to be bearing in mind cost optimization when you're working on lean production. Working in both directions will help you retain human resources, highly skilled human resources. It will help you it will help you optimize production assets or switch to alternative supplies. And this is the challenge faced by many companies that were affected. I'm not for either or, and not for following the book, but rather for mixing the tools for optimum result. The latest thing we saw was that we certainly provide a full range of services on introducing lean production, and we always start with an ABC to beginners, and we help them choose the tools and teach and train people and start using the primary tools, and then add on more complex tools. Speaking about the pandemic, we, as the employees, had to leave the office, and we needed to work with those who are still in the office to make sure that they are not still remember that they are not just working for a result, but rather they are the agents of change, the agents of lean production. And we take this time to train people more. Online training is becoming more and more important, and it's high time to learn. And it helped you find more time. You do not need to go anywhere to study, to be trained. As soon as we found the methodology that gives effect, and it became even more efficient, because no mission costs, no business mission costs, no accommodation costs. A great percentage of live training can be replaced with online training.
When, if not now? On the one hand, it is clear that we should increase our help to businesses to keep them afloat. But on the other hand, if the process has already been worked out, there are no changes in it, but we can reassess approaches, because the approaches had been worked out before the pandemic came. And right now we have to retain some of the business functions, but others should be changed dramatically. Maybe not U-turn, but they should use completely different instruments and tools. So, any new products related to pandemic, had you offered them? Had you offered such new products, or lean technology offers you ready-made solutions for such emergencies? A new product right now is more like an approach, how to keep your business afloat, how to keep it stable in terms of information technologies and in terms of implementing things, and how to reassess your activity. It's not more about lean production, it's more about stabilizing your processes. I do not have any specific cases similar to what my colleagues said. We added working more with the top management. We prepared them to leaving the office, to working online, to keeping the business afloat. These are kind of cases we have been working out, and the number of such cases increased like 10 times over. And Actually, in crises like this, the issues of changing your production go to the back burner, but the most important thing is communication, not to the white-collar workers, but to the workers who keep doing your major job. You have to explain it to them that it's even more important right now to keep the technological processes, and of course those are force majeure circumstances. We have to preserve our skill of being capable to listen to them. Maybe they have already worked out some solutions and we should keep on working with them. So communication and education and planning, these are our priorities. I cannot call them new solutions. That's actually what we've been doing always. Thank you very much, Alexander. So we've made a cross-section of the views of large businesses, how they see lean production, and we understand that these principles are important and necessary. We should develop them, we should open up new doors, and we should make new solutions, including digitalization, and we have to work out software for that. And I would like to support this digitalization issue. All of us became much more digitalized and managed to work online just because we have mobile phones. Here is an example of digitalization and fast solutions for distant work, for online work. Thank you very much, all of you. Well, see you someday. Thank you. Goodbye.
Удачи всем.
Thank you. Goodbye. Good luck.